There's a saying, when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong. Wait a minute, I'm not done now.
March 27th, 1975, a prophet named Ruth Green prophesied that I would travel the world and preach to millions of people.
We step onto the Hollywood fault line at the very instant it shudders, feeling the pavement beneath the red carpet buckle as Denzel Washington, the saint of the silver screen, allegedly points a steady finger toward Oprah Winfrey and murmurs the unthinkable. She's shielding Diddy, Combs, and a whole constellation of power players from the glare of accountability. We can almost taste the collective gasp. This is not a typical backlot squabble, not a board on a Tuesday tabloid item. This is Denzel, the man who quotes scripture between takes, the fellow who once said, "Spirituality is important in every aspect of my life," stepping into the cultural courtroom and dropping a truth bomb that rattles the pillars of talk show royalty. We feel the hush ripple through studio bungalows and gated estates, because when Denzel speaks, studio execs lock their doors and publicists clutch their pearls.
Conversely, when the devil comes at you, maybe it's because you're trying to do something right.
We linger in that hush for a heartbeat and lean closer, because Denzel's voice, seasoned by decades of oratory gravitas, slices through the usual celebrity noise like a train whistle in a sleeping town. He's the actor who declared, "My work has been my ministry," and we remember how he once wrestled with whether to leave the screen for the pulpit. Now, ironically, the pulpit seems to have followed him onto the soundstage, and he's preaching a sermon nobody asked for, but everyone needs. The sermon's first verse, Oprah's angelic halo, he hints, might be polished by alliances with people she'd never invite to a vision board brunch if the cameras weren't rolling. And the subtext is chilling. If the most trusted woman in America is covering for Diddy, a man currently battling allegations that read like a noir script, what else has she hidden behind that impeccable smile? We can almost feel Oprah's empire quiver. We remember those marathon couch sessions where A-listers cried in her arms and the audience felt reborn. We remember her gift-wrapped cars and her indomitable brand of empowerment. Now we're asked to consider whether the benevolent queen has been playing cosmic chess while everyone else was blissfully sipping chai on set. Denzel's whispered warning ricochets through the chandeliered corridors of power, and we begin to ponder, has Oprah been using her aura of spiritual guidance as camouflage for a deeper agenda? Has she positioned herself at the crossroads of confession and control, selecting which sinners receive sanctified forgiveness and which are cast outside the gates?
Have y'all spoke after this?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't have anything against Oprah.
You just called her a
I'm gonna tell you why.
You named your dog Oprah, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
We keep our eyes fixed on the horizon because just beyond that initial shockwave looms the shadow of Sean Combs. The man who once ruled the airwaves with swagger now sits in a Brooklyn cell, his fate tethered to swirling allegations of freak-off soirees, hush money, and spiral notebooks filled with schemes to find dirt on accusers. Prosecutors paint him as a ringmaster of decadent ceremonies, a maestro of manipulation. And somewhere in the background, Oprah's historic photo ops with him flicker like vintage film frames. The red carpet hugs, the glowing interviews, the mutual praise. We ask ourselves, was that just professional synergy, or was something more strategic transpiring in the wings?
Let's talk about the filth that's starting to come out in the early days of the Diddy trial. This, of course, is P. Diddy. Surprise, surprise, he's a creep. Surprise, surprise, he's done horrible things.
We dig deeper into Denzel's sudden boldness and sift the clues in his resume. From Training Day to Roman J. Israel Esquire, he has always gravitated to characters who battle inner demons and corrupt systems. Perhaps that moral compass bleeds off-screen. After all, he grew up the son of a longtime Pentecostal minister and has said, a woman once prophesied, he would preach to millions. Maybe this is that prophecy flowering under studio lights. We shiver at the thought that the actor we trusted to embody virtue is using Hollywood's own amplification to broadcast a wake-up call. The empire has no clothes, and the tailor lives on a gated estate in Montecito. We can't ignore the rumored tea pouring from insiders who swear Denzel has privately cautioned young actors about Oprah's spiritual manipulation. They recount tete-a-tetes at rap parties where he allegedly warned them to guard their souls if her book club invitation ever slid into their inbox. The whispers say he's troubled by a pattern. First, cozy connections with Harvey Weinstein when he could still greenlight an Oscar campaign. Then photo ops with spiritual healer João de Deus, now disgraced, convicted, and forever shackled to unspeakable offenses. It's a mosaic of alliances that invite more questions than answers, and we can't unsee the jagged pieces once they snap into place.
Dishonest, violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers describe the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious trafficking charges in a New York court.
We pivot to that clandestine A-list network linking Oprah and Diddy, a labyrinth rumored to run deeper than a subterranean Beverly Hills tunnel. Industry veterans remember closed-door summits at her Santa Barbara ranch where moguls allegedly mapped out brand synergies while moonlight shimmered off crystal decanters. The stories hint at favors exchanged, gateway invitations to star-making roles, mysteriously vanished scandals, and ND as thicker than a studio lock gate. We feel the tension climb because Diddy's court docket insists those after-hours gatherings weren't just harmless jam sessions. Prosecutors describe elaborate performances curated for his private pleasure, with participants selected, coached, and paid. And looming overhead is the fear that Oprah's proximity wasn't innocent networking but strategic insulation. A brand new chapter in crisis management before a crisis even surfaced.
Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things. Witnessed violence.
We remember that years ago, Oprah seemed almost allergic to hip-hop's raw narratives. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson told us she was completely against everything in his lyrics, even naming his dog after her in protest. Yet photos of Oprah and Diddy beaming together prove her stance eventually softened. Was this détente a genuine change of heart or a tactical pivot to align herself with music's reigning power broker? We wonder if these shifting loyalties reveal a habit of recalibrating allies, not for principle, but for empire.
Every time she made a mention to hip hop culture, it was something that was wrong with it. And it was something that was on my CD that was the largest debut in hip hop.
We feel another tremor when Monique's betrayal saga resurfaces. The Oscar-winning actress claims Oprah promised protection yet left her out in the cold when studio politics turned icy. We recall Taraji P. Henson's tearful confessions of wage inequality, and we re-examine the idea that Oprah's brand of uplift sometimes looks suspiciously selective. Denzel's supposed grievance echoes these stories, that beneath the veneer of empowerment, there's a quiet machinery deciding who ascends and who remains conveniently sidelined. We scan the timeline and notice Oprah's track record. With controversial figures, Weinstein's downfall crashes across headlines. Oprah releases a carefully worded statement about being humbled. John of God leads pilgrimages, and later, police escorts. Oprah's earlier praise remains etched in internet archives. Each alliance feels like an audition for trust, and Denzel's alleged outcry suggests they failed the callback.
I would say, Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do, and stop hiding behind what you call was negative comments.
We shudder at the symmetry. While Diddy's trial unpacks lurid tales of intimate marathons, private jets, and IV bags to combat exhaustion, Oprah's legendary couch becomes a stage where public memory is shaped. If she shielded her friend from tough questions over the years, did she inadvertently let harmful behavior metastasize? Could her influence have suppressed early warning signs, allowing a pattern of manipulation to fester behind velvet ropes? We picture Denzel in the wings of a late-night set or on a quiet corner of a backlot church service, warning colleagues that fame is a mirage, that one should always put God first, as he urged graduates at Dillard University. His concerns, we hear, focus not only on high-profile men, but on how Oprah allegedly treats Black women who break ranks. The thought crystallizes: Denzel's call-out isn't just about one mogul. It's about an ecosystem where glitzy empowerment slogans sometimes conceal exploitation.
Bullies in this business, and the bullies are so used to being bullies, they don't understand when somebody bite back.
Right.
And not bark back, they bite back.
Right.
We lean in further as prosecutors reveal that while Diddy now paces a stark cell, his empire plotted from spiral notebooks, payoffs, smear campaigns, 36 calls in 4 days to an unidentified witness. The same notebooks include inspirational quotes, heavy irony scrawled next to alleged intimidation blueprints. Meanwhile, Oprah's team reportedly scrubs social feeds, erasing cozy snapshots with him. Tony Busby, counsel for 100-plus accusers, fires off letters to A-listers who attended those infamous gatherings. Settle or see us in court, he says. Stars huddle with attorneys, terrified that a single selfie could place them on a subpoena list. We sense the ground shifting beneath all red-bottom stilettos on Melrose. If Busby's ultimatum holds, we could witness an unprecedented cascade of high-profile settlements, each signed non-disclosure silently confirming that the freak-offs weren't just Hollywood myth. Oprah's allies now weigh loyalty against liability, and we can't help picturing frantic midnight phone calls, crisis PR decks lit by iPhone flashlights, hush agreements sliding across granite counters and gated mansions. We rewind to Diddy's flight path and recall how federal agents raided his LA and Miami estates, seizing laptops and security footage. We remember the leaked surveillance from that swanky LA hotel where Cassie Ventura was kicked, dragged, and humiliated in a hallway, partly funded by luxury. When that video dropped, Diddy posted an apology clip, eyes downcast, voice cracking. But prosecutors labeled it strategic damage control. Oprah, once the queen of televised redemption arcs, stayed curiously silent. Did she see an empire fracturing too quickly to salvage? Or did she hope the storm would pass, sparing her brand by association?
Been afraid of coming forward. They've been afraid of what he could potentially do to them within the industry, what he could do to them professionally, maybe even personally. And so yes, it's been a dark secret they've held on to for a very, very long time.
We consider the notion of Oprah as media gatekeeper. With her own network, streaming deals, and primetime pull, she can elevate or eclipse anyone. If she ever exercised that power to bury unflattering stories about her circle, then Denzel's alarm makes searing sense. Could it be that Oprah's empire thrives on controlling the narrative, curating confessions for ratings, but privately redirecting the spotlight when it threatens her inner circle? We recall Seal's Instagram fusillade claiming Oprah knew about Weinstein for decades. Rose McGowan calls her as fake as they come. We once brushed these off as celebrity outbursts, but under Denzel's chastening glare, they feel less like noise and more like early tremors before the quake. We see Dave wrapped into clickbait headlines about Oprah's alleged role as a hidden handler, a rumor that fizzled under scrutiny yet left a stubborn residue of suspicion.
It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14, and I've heard the stories of what happened.
We roam backstage at Oprah's Leadership Academy in South Africa and remember the dorm matron scandal that erupted, thrusting Winfrey into courtroom crossfire. She insisted on full transparency, but critics pointed out her legal firepower steamrolled smaller voices. Each new allegation threads into a tapestry of small frays that once tugged might unravel a velvety facade.
I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Like, when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be.
We widen our lens to note that Denzel's critique reportedly includes how Oprah's benevolence sometimes demands absolute allegiance. Resist, and you may find studio doors mysteriously locked. Festival invites lost in transit. It echoes Monique's lament that she was blackballed for refusing a promotional whirlwind she wasn't paid for. Denzel's stance suggests something deeper, a moral imperative to challenge even the most beloved icon, if conscience commands. Prosecutors say Diddy created elaborate performances with commercial companions, used intimidation when partners balked, and scribbled notes obsessing over jury influence. Meanwhile, Oprah's Global Book Club picks march on. Her Instagram offers recipes and uplift. But somewhere within her inner circle, publicists evaluate every archived episode, praying no soundbite resurfaces, aligning her too closely with Combs' Twilight Kingdom.
So let that be a lesson to all the bullies. May it be in comedy, may it be in wherever. You never know who.
We feel the industry's pulse quicken. Agents whisper code words like rebrand and image detox. Contracts with streaming giants include morality clauses sharper than ever. Up-and-coming actors debate whether Oprah's stamp of approval is worth the potential fallout. The seat across from her, once the holy grail of publicity, now feels like a throne with hidden traps. Denzel's bombshell forces a cost-benefit analysis none expected to calculate. We imagine Denzel still respectful but resolute. Perhaps he recalls his mother's relentless prayers, or that prophecy in the salon chair. His late career choices, directing, mentoring younger talent, suggest a man mindful of legacy. Why risk that legacy with an incendiary claim? Maybe because silence he fears would be complicity, and complicity in a town where everyone's complicit in something might finally be too heavy for his conscience. We gaze at Oprah's track record of public atonement spectacles, cheating husbands confronting betrayed spouses, politicians confessing lapses, and everyday folks finding closure. Now the audience wonders, will she stage her own reckoning episode? Will she invite Denzel, Diddy's accusers, perhaps Taraji or Monique, and attempt a cinematic absolution? Or will she keep the curtain drawn, relying on loyal fans to dismiss misconduct as tabloid theatrics?
I'm sorry, I'm just I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck during those years. You're still stuck 21 years later.
We see law firms sharpening subpoenas and private investigators comparing flight manifests from Diddy's jets to guest lists from Oprah's vineyard soirees. We sense fear seeping into Bel Air patios. Who else attended the freak-offs and signed NDAs, now worth less than scratch-off tickets? Savvy managers advise clients to donate to charities for survivors, hoping goodwill offsets any incoming splashback. We can't ignore the broader implications. If Oprah, armed with billions and a messiah complex, fails this moral test, What does it mean for the dream she sold to millions? That hard work and positive thinking lead to abundance, but behind the mantra lurked gatekeepers who traded favors in shadowy corridors. Denzel's admonition invites us to interrogate the fairy tale. We stroll through the corridor outside Denzel's trailer, glimpsing the open Bible on the craft services table, verses underlined in fading ink. When he wraps for the day, he allegedly gathers the crew for prayer, reminding them they matter beyond the lens. It's this authenticity that makes his accusation thunder. Cynics dismiss Hollywood feuds as marketing ploys, but nobody accuses Denzel of chasing clickbait headlines.
It was like, wow, for Diddy? Diddy? What? You know, that was a person that I looked up to. He was a mogul, and I listened to all the artists that he made superstars. And so to have a chance to be able to be signed to him, it was amazing. It was like, oh my God, I'm here. I finally did it.
We turn back to Diddy's cell where guards seize his to-do list and prosecutors allege he scrawled directives about paying off witnesses. We picture him reading legal briefs in a tan jumpsuit, plotting paths to freedom that include influencing others by proxy. We juxtapose that with Oprah's empowering words plastered on vision boards worldwide and wonder if behind each polished phrase sits a ledger tallying loyalty points.
He cornered me. And then he asked me, with his arm up, he asked me, how you doing? I'm kind of like, wow, what the heck? Very uncomfortable. And then he rubbed his hand down my breast. He said, if you need anything at all, you let me know.
We hear Tony Busby taunting celebrities to settle quietly or face courtrooms where their attendance at parties will be dissected under oath. Perhaps some names are already drafting checks, hoping to vanish from depositions. But once hush agreements accumulate, they form a pattern of hush louder than any shout. We suspect Denzel anticipated this chain reaction and chose to detonate the conversation before the hush won. We can almost see Oprah in her Montecito garden, crisp linen, sunrise meeting. She may call Stedman for counsel, Maya Angelou's poetry echoing in the back of her mind. Does she see Denzel's challenge as betrayal or as an invitation to transform? Will she restore her empire's moral luster by facing the music publicly? Or double down on controlled narratives? We ponder whether the Hollywood machine can survive another institution-shaking revelation. After Me Too and streaming revolutions, moguls cling to reputation like life rafts. If Oprah's brand dims, new power brokers will ascend, and perhaps Denzel's disciples artists, rooted in faith and authenticity, will steer storytelling back towards something more transparent. We hold our breath as lawyers wrangle and court dates loom. We sense Oprah rehearsing lines for a possible statement, while Diddy's attorneys argue privilege over those cell-scratched memos. Meanwhile, Denzel continues filming, weaving righteousness into each scene. The tension grows into a storm front, the sky tinted by rumors and righteous fury.
Unfortunately, we're all going to take a disgusting trip to his seedy, awful world. You know, the man has no class. He has no kindness in his dark, dark heart. And he's depraved. That's my opinion. This is a depraved, disgusting individual about whom I wish to hear nothing after this trial is done.
We ask ourselves if Hollywood is finally ready to audit its conscience. If Denzel's stand galvanizes others to speak, the industry might undergo a reformation. Or, conversely, the system may devour him like it has others who spoke too soon, too loudly. We picture him serene, undeterred, prepared for whatever outcome, confident that truth has its own box office draw. We inch toward the finale, hearts pounding, because we understand that what began as a startling allegation has morphed into an existential referendum. Can fame and integrity coexist, or must one consume the other? Denzel's alleged call-out of Oprah shoves that dilemma into the spotlight, and we realize the next act will either vindicate Hollywood's favorite matriarch or expose an empire built on selective virtue.
The question is he a criminal? You know, is he basically akin to a mob boss running several criminal enterprises? And while it's very clear to me he is a depraved, disgusting person, we have to prove that he violated the law.
We reach the brink and turn slowly, surveying the wreckage and the trembling towers still standing. Some reputations may crumble next week, others may rise phoenix-like from the ashes. But we will never unhear Denzel's suspicion, never unsee the mosaic of alliances, looping from red carpets to courtroom docks. And now, as the stage lights dim, we exhale a final cinematic breath. If the man who made us believe in on-screen redemption is right about Oprah's off-screen alliances, what other icons hide fractures behind the gloss? Are we prepared for the answers, or will we cling to familiar illusions until the credits roll? Hold that thought, drop a comment, and tell us, do you still trust the queen of daytime? Or Has Denzel's warning pierced the spell? Until the next bombshell rocks Tinseltown, this is our curtain call. Stay bold, stay curious, and we'll meet you on the other side of the spotlight.